For 3,000 years, her name was erased from history. Her statues were smashed. Her monuments were defaced. Her achievements were credited to others. She was forgotten so completely that when archaeologists finally found her temple in the 19th century, they couldn't understand why a king was depicted with a woman's body. Her name was Hatshepsut, and she was the most powerful woman the ancient world ever produced. To understand how extraordinary Hatshepsut was, you need to understand ancient Egypt. Egypt was ruled by pharaohs, always male, always depicted as male, always referred to as kings. Women could be queens, could be regents for young sons, but they did not rule, not as pharaohs, not until Hatshepsut. She was born around 1505 BC, the daughter of Pharaoh Thutmose I and his great royal wife, Ahmose. She was royalty from birth, but not destined for the throne. At 14 or 15, she married her half-brother, Thutmose II, and became his great royal wife. This was not unusual. Egyptian royal families married within their own lines to keep the bloodline pure. Thutmose II died young. His heir, Thutmose III, was an infant, maybe 2 years old, born to a lesser wife. Hatshepsut, as the boy's stepmother and the most powerful figure in the royal court, became regent. She would rule in his name until he came of age. That was the plan, but Hatshepsut had other ideas.
Within 7 years, Hatshepsut did something unprecedented. She didn't just rule as regent, she declared herself pharaoh. Not queen, not regent, pharaoh. The full title, the full authority, the full divine right. To make this acceptable, she had to become a man, at least in every public representation. Her statues showed her with a male body, broad shoulders, the shin-knit kilt, and the false beard of the pharaoh. But she didn't stop at the visual. She created an entire mythology around her right to rule. The priests of Amun, the chief god of Egypt, proclaimed that Hatshepsut was the daughter of Amun himself, that the god had visited her mother in the form of her father and conceived her. She claimed that her father, Thutmose I, had publicly designated her as his successor. And here's what's remarkable. It worked. For 22 years, Hatshepsut ruled Egypt as its king. And it wasn't a period of crisis or decline. It was one of the most prosperous eras in Egyptian history. She reestablished trade networks that had been disrupted for centuries. She sent a famous expedition to the land of Punt, a mysterious trading partner somewhere near the Horn of Africa, which returned with 31 live myrrh trees, frankincense, gold, and exotic animals. She built on a scale that rivaled any pharaoh before or since. Her mortuary temple at Deir el-Bahari, carved directly into the cliffs of the Nile Valley, is considered a masterpiece of ancient architecture. She erected twin obelisks at Karnak that were the tallest in the world. One still stands today, more than 3,000 years later, the second tallest ancient obelisk still standing on Earth.
Then, around 1458 BC, Hatshepsut died. She was in her late 40s. The cause of death may have been bone cancer, possibly caused by a carcinogenic skin lotion she used. And that's when the erasure began. It didn't happen immediately. Thutmose III, now finally the sole ruler, waited years before he acted. But eventually, he ordered a systematic campaign to remove Hatshepsut from history. Her cartouches were chiseled off stone walls. Her statues were torn down and smashed. Her name was replaced with that of her father or her husband. At Deir el-Bahari, her shattered statues were buried in a pit. At Karnak, her monuments were walled up. Why? Some historians say it was resentment, that Thutmose III hated the woman who had kept him from the throne for 22 years. Others say it was political necessity. A woman ruling as pharaoh was dangerous. It challenged the entire system of divine male kingship. If Hatshepsut can rule, why not other women? The erasure wasn't personal, it was structural. and it nearly worked. For 3,000 years, Hatshepsut was effectively unknown. Her temple was found, but no one could explain the male king with a female body. The confusion was so great that Egyptologists called it the Hatshepsut problem. She wasn't rediscovered as a historical figure until the 19th and 20th centuries.
Her mummy was lost even longer. In 1903, the archaeologist Howard Carter, the same man who would later discover Tutankhamun, found a tomb designated KV-60 containing two female mummies. One was Hatshepsut's wet nurse, the other was unidentified. In 2007, the Egyptian archaeologist Zahi Hawass removed that mummy and tested it. A tooth found in a canopic box bearing Hatshepsut's name matched a gap in the mummy's jaw. After 3,500 years, the woman who ruled as king was found. Hatshepsut's story forces us to confront a question. How many other women have been erased from history? How many rulers, how many scientists, how many thinkers were systematically removed from the record because their existence challenged the order of their world? Hatshepsut built monuments meant to last forever. She ruled the most powerful civilization on earth for over 2 decades. She wore the false beard of the pharaoh and made the entire Egyptian establishment accept it. And then they tried to make her disappear. But stone remembers, and 3,000 years later, she's back. Next time, we'll tell the story of the greatest library ever built and the day the ancient world's knowledge went up in flames. Subscribe so you don't miss it.